he never regained consciousness. Based on the video, from what we saw, he died right there on scene. So I know it's important to give y'all the narrative of what was on that video. And there may be some parts that I missed. It's very difficult to watch one of the worst police killings I've ever seen. I don't really care what the medical examiner say the cause of death, but the medical examiner say that the contributory factor to his death was involvement with law enforcement. The district attorney, what's his name?
Blackwood.
What's his name?
Blackwood.
District Attorney Blackwood said the other day that Jawan initiated law enforcement. That's a damn lie. That's not true. They initiated him. They initiated him. Unlawfully initiating him. Unlawfully asking for his identification when the state of Alabama don't require one to do so. That matter has just went up to the 11th Circuit. Edgar versus McCabe. Edgar versus McCabe. You can read it if you want to. And demanded for his identification with no suspicion of a crime. One, Jawan didn't have to give him anything. He didn't have to give him anything. But they are incompetent police officers. And the reason why Jawan Dallas is dead today is because of them. It doesn't matter what a autopsy report of potential having drugs in the system. It's almost like this, Roderick. If you walk on a tightrope and I shake the damn rope and you fall, you're responsible for the death. Make no mistake about it. We're absolutely going to bring a civil lawsuit. We was told the Department of Justice is still investigating this matter. To what extent, we don't know. That lawsuit is forthcoming. I don't know if it'll be done before the end of the year. But let me just reiterate with y'all. And I know videos are not public record in the state of Alabama, unfortunately. There's no transparency when it comes to law enforcement here in this state. If you ever see it, you'll never forget it. If you ever see it, you'll never forget it. It is one of the worst videos that I myself, as a civil rights attorney, I know Roger Van Daniel, that we have ever seen. And I've seen a lot of police deaths, a lot of killings. With that being said, we have NAACP President Clopton. You're going to come up and say a few words. We're going to have Mr. Phil to come up and say something. You come up and say something first. And then we'll open up for some questions.
On behalf of the Mobile branch of the NAACP and the National Association of the NAACP, we want to again extend our most heartfelt condolences to the family. Not only did they have to relive this atrocity once, but then again they had to relive it again today, and in the worst manner possible, as they watched their loved one suffer, plead for his life, and then die on the scene for no apparent reason. Mobile, we're better than this. I mean, we have a serious problem right now. Am I the only one? It's the NAACP on a national level, the state level, local level are the only ones that notice that we have 4 deaths here of African American men by our police department. 2 pre-done raids where they've killed the wrong person. A tasing death for no reason. Mobile, we have a problem. We have to solve this problem. And we have to get not only justice for Jay, we have to get justice for the other 3 young men. If we have to take it all the way back to Michael Moore, we need to. The black men in Mobile, approximately one out of every 12,000 will be killed by police. That's unacceptable. We will not accept it. We can't. We will continue our fight for justice, for Jay, for any and everyone who was lost, for all the young men and women. And don't get me wrong, what we see here is an escalation within the black community. But then again, if the police injustice any of their efforts of crimes and kill anyone, they must be held accountable. And as Attorney Daniels said, there should be, and at some point there must be, transparency in the actions of the Mobile Police Department. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Phil Williams, and I'm Jawan dad. This is one of the worst days of my life. I seen my son actually die, suffer, plead for his life. His mom is distraught, not just today. ever since July the 2nd, we got the news of our son being murdered. Mobile Police Department, you straight murdered my son. You had no just for it. You wasn't there to serve him or to protect him. You was there to destroy him because you killed him. The lie was he died at the hospital. No, my son died in the back of the police car, which was 222, if I'm not mistaken. 222, if I'm not mistaken. This is something that's going to be very hard to live with, not just for me, my wife, my daughters, my 2 sons that's left. It's 12 kids. It's 9 girls, and it was 3 boys. Now it's 9 girls and 2 boys. Grandkids, 30. Great-grand, 2. And we all love Jay because Jay was the light of the house. Holidays is coming up, November, which is Thanksgiving. I'm gonna miss my son coming in the house saying, Mom, I want 2 plates. One for here and one for when I go. I'm gonna miss my son coming in saying, Happy Father's Day, Happy Birthday, Merry Christmas. We are distraught. We've been fighting for months for a video that we should have seen the next day, as well as the other family. We're not gonna let you all make us your scapegoats, because we're gonna stay in your face. We're gonna get justice for Jay. We're going all in for Jay, because we know Jay will go all in for us. I'm speaking for me, my family, and all of those that know Jay and love Jay. Jay didn't deserve to die like that. They say that God gives life and he takes life. God didn't kill Jay. Mobile killed Jay. Police department. Straight murder. You tell me that it was you tell me on the autopsy that it was accidental? How do you accidentally kill somebody? You ain't hunting and a man 100, 200 yards away from you and you accidentally shoot him? No. You held him there. You pound on him. You dry stunned him. You stunned him 13 to 15 times. Come on, all of these vultures. Yeah, of course he had a heart attack because you all caused and triggered a heart attack. Yeah, he had bleeding on the brain because you all beat him upside his head. Justice for Jay.
Justice for Jay.
Say no more. We seen the video.
All right, so let me say this before we go to Q&A. We had some witnesses who was there. It was some discrepancy of what the witnesses said before. Didn't say. You can hear the witness on the video actually say that they was telling them to stop tasing him. You had to tase him like that. That's heard on the video. So that would clear that issue of those witnesses who came forth that said this was wrong. You can hear him on the video the night of the incident talking to law enforcement what we said. And I can tell you this, we was told early on what happened through eyewitness account. It was 100 times worse. It was 100 times worse. This, I can see why the city of Mobile don't want to release this video. It'd be very bad. I can see why they don't want to release it. With that being said, identify yourself, your agency. I know most of y'all already, and we can answer a few questions. Right, so we saw both of the officers' body camera. I want to say each one of them may have been about 40, 45 minutes long. We saw all the footage with the exception maybe 5, 10 minutes because it was one officer was standing right beside the other officer. His father was in the room, myself, Roderick, his mother, and his sister, and one of his cousins, family members.
Were you able to take video of you could only view it and take notes. There was no rewinding and let me see.
No, we was able to. They was very cooperative and allowed us to stop, rewind, pick up. So there was no barriers in that. They was very cooperative. The city attorney was there. I think another assistant and the public safety is it Lasky. So they're very cooperative and allowed us to look at the video as long as we wanted to.
And so you don't see him being, with the taser, you don't see it being deployed on him 13 times. You hear that noise.
We hear it. So to my understanding, this from the autopsy report that it was at least two drive stuns that made contact with his body, and 4 cycles of the taser. So a total of 6 times. Well, a cycle of a taser is about 5-minute bursts each time, in which you can hit a drive stun. So we don't know as to whether the additional 7 times actually made contact with his body. We do know we can hear it multiple times. Guys, it sounds like somebody was getting electrocuted in an electric chair. That's what it sounds like. A continuous. That's what it sounds like. I mean, I'm not even going to, it sounds just like that. And to say he had previous precondition, it showed us no sign of any impairment with him, of anything. He was talking normal. He was actually talking legal. Like, this is unlawful. You can't do this. There was no signs of any intoxication or any impairment. I understand what was being said. Just because something's in your system doesn't mean at the time you are high. If you smoke weed or marijuana this morning, don't mean you high at night. So when you look at this video and see it, he was coherent. He was, for the most part, cooperative. He was looking for his identification. I guess he didn't get it to him quick enough, and they opened the door and told him to get out. So it's a bad video. Any other questions?
Pastor Daniels, Alabama political reporter. I believe Attorney Blackwood the other day said,
You my district attorney?
Yeah. So he said that the officers weren't criminally liable, but he also said they exacerbated the problem. Is that not a contradiction in your eyes?
Well, criminal liable. So obviously this was presented to a grand jury. And the grand jury is lay people like yourselves that don't really have any, well, you could have legal experience if you select for the grand jury. And to my understanding, you had witnesses come in. Well, if the autopsy or the medical examiner comes in and saying the cause of death is for some type of ingestion or some type of drug and kind of discount the police interaction, it is very hard to come back with some type of criminal liability. But let's be clear. And what's your name again? Patrick. If you innocent and I engage you and I contribute to your death, if you're innocent, I am responsible for your death. It doesn't matter in any form or fashion. If I contribute to you and it was unlawful for me to engage you, that's the law. That's criminal negligence, homicides, involuntary manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter, reckless conduct. I mean, at minimum, they were reckless in their treatment of Jawan. Reckless, unprofessional, disrespectful, absolutely inhumane act and lack of care for an individual who's on the ground and saying, I can't breathe, I'm dying. And when they realized that he was actually telling the truth, he was dying, then all crap hit the fan. Okay, we messed up. Then you get scared. But you had an opportunity to get rescued there, to set him up, to let him breathe, to give him some water. They didn't do that.
And did the officers ever give a reason for why they were stopping?
But they'll give a reason. They went to the call and they saw the first people they saw. They saw a black man in the car, and they saw another gentleman. They approached him, and they didn't even never go to the place where the actual initial call was there. There was no really indication to believe that these people were the one who was involved in any type of burglary or a trespass. And let me be clear, it was never a burglary. A trespass at best, which is a very minimum Class C misdemeanor in the state of Alabama. It definitely don't warrant a person being beaten, tased 13 or how many times it happened to be killed. Go ahead.
I'm Dacian Smith with Fox 10.
Can't hear you.
I'm Dacian Smith with Fox 10.
Okay.
I know they approached him because he was one of the people out there. Were you given any reason why he was searching for his ID? Why they just opened the car and told him to get out?
Well, I don't really, you got to ask them that question. But obviously, I mean, they was having a conversation and they kept saying about a burglary. And they kept telling him, hey, we're not involved in a burglary. So while he's looking for his ID, they question him at the same time. So his attention is being drawn back to them, and try like, hey, y'all, you got the wrong people. And they in fact had the wrong people. The people who committed whatever act, they had got away. And they never caught them, right?
Never caught them.
So let me be very clear. Jawan Dallas was innocent. You got innocent blood on the city of Mobile hand. Innocent. He was not involved with anything. So let alone their grabbing him, beating him, tasing, he was innocent. Just like you and I standing here. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, in the wrong, untrained, reckless ass officers responded to the scene that end up killing him. Mom, I'm sorry for cursing, but I apologize.
The police received it.
Civil lawsuit, are you filing your civil lawsuit next week in the 7th District?
Well, I'm not going to say when I'm filing it, but what we should be getting investigation files at some point to identify the officers. I mean, of course, y'all, they're open sesame for y'all, so if y'all want to get the investigation file public record, y'all can get them. That's what we was told, right? You may not get the video, but everything else, we was told that you can get them. So make a request.
I'm not sure Rev with the KRG. Quick question. What's your reaction to learning that the officers were released back into the field before the grand jury made?
Well, it shares the culture of the Mobile Police Department. And for Chief Pond to make a statement that they were completely exonerated, they didn't do anything wrong, that's problematic with itself. And that's something that we will address and look at once we move forward in litigation, because obviously you support that type of conduct. And the Department of Justice still doing an investigation. And I don't know who did an investigation. Did the police to investigate themselves? But there's no way that they should be even on. They should not be on the force. They should be arrested and charged and waiting for a criminal prosecution. Let alone being out in this community, protecting and serving. Hey, listen, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. This is Mobile, and I understand, it's due to different places, but at the same time, you don't want those type of officers on the street, because you have to de-escalate things. You have to understand policing, and you're dealing with somebody who's in duress, all right, who, no matter what they've done before, you got to go from making an arrest to be a concerned officer to preserve life. And to tell somebody, I'm begging you, I can't breathe, I don't want to be the next George Floyd, I don't want to be like George Floyd, and you tell them, if you don't shut the F up, I'm going to punch you in your stomach, that's a dish within itself. And at minimum, Chief Pine, you should have fired him for that.
That's right.
Any other questions?
JohnSharpMail.com.
How you doing, John?
So he invoked the name George Floyd. Was there any reaction from his officer?
Shut the F up.
Follow-up question as well.
And I'm just saying that's a response. That's what he said. He said, I don't want to be George Floyd. You got to think about that. And that's his mindset at that time. Everybody know what happened to George Floyd. He's thinking that they are killing me. I don't want to die. George Floyd was killed by Derek Chauvin. 8 minutes, 46 seconds. Jay has the knowledge and awareness that they killing me right now. And he didn't want to be the next George Floyd. Unfortunately, Jay, you became the next George Floyd because of them.
During this whole process, very limited information came out, largely because of concerns over violating the Grand Jury Secrecy Act in this state. I don't know if you had a chance to review the act and some of the things that were not allowed to be said during city council meetings and elsewhere. It's been 4.5 months. I want to see what your assessment was.
This grand jury thing, to me, is punting something off to a group of folk that probably was given so much information and being able to decipher. Now, I would tell you this, is that a grand jury if the district attorney wants to seek an indictment, they can indict Jesus Christ if they wanted to. But when they don't want to indict, they punt it and say, we just give it to them. This wasn't a grand jury as to determine as whether they committed a crime. This was, a defense was made to the grand jury as to why you should not bring a charge. Now, we may not never see the transcript, but when his mom asked me, do you think they're going to bring a charge? No, they're not. And for a state medical examiner, and I give credit to the state medical examiner, at minimum, they put that was contributed to law enforcement interaction, the cause of death. Well, the question is now, if the law enforcement interaction was unlawful and contributed to the death, you have an unlawful killing. That's against the law. So, did I answer your question? Sorry. Okay.
I just had one more quick question. Did the officers have any conversations after?
Oh boy, they sure did.
What did they say?
Well, all of them seem like regret, like they messed up. Oh, they matter of fact, that's a great question, because one of the sergeants told him, hey, you done elevated to the big league. You done killed somebody with a taser. It's litigation gonna start now. So they didn't turn the cameras off, and I think so. They had a lot of conversation and communication after the fact about what happened. A lot of conversation.
And one quick question, because we heard heard like claims about transparency, but if you send it to a grand jury, is that not? Are grand juries transparent?
What's a secret? If you don't, we don't ever know what was submitted to the grand jury. You know, we say 4 witnesses were submitted to the grand jury. We don't know who the witnesses are. We don't know if they got a chance to look at the video, an entire video. We don't know if they got a chance to listen to what was said after the fact. We don't know what law was presented. As such, I think the DA said something about a law of causation. When causation, to me, that's not the grand jury really determination. The question is if enough facts here to put you before a court, before a jury. That's all it is. The grand jury say is enough evidence here to suggest that you should be charged and stand before 12 members of a jury to determine your guilt or innocence. That's not. But when you put it on the grand jury and you get one-sided, that's not fair. Because it was one-sided. Because the one-sided was all pushing towards not to indict. And if y'all ever see the video, you know, I don't want to be a broken record. You will see. Any other questions?
The video you said is 45 minutes long.
I don't know exactly how long it is. It's pretty long. Both cameras. At one point, one officer, his cameras fall off, then he places it back on. But you can hear the interaction on that camera.
How long is their interaction? And how long is their struggle?
The interaction before, maybe about 7 minutes discussion. The struggle or the unlawful use of force happens when Jawan gets out the vehicle and he's like he's maybe trying to run away.
So how long is the physical struggle going on for?
Maybe about 2 minutes, maybe longer. It's enough to have 13. It's a while, and one of the officers acknowledges that he hurt his hand by punching him. So they talk about that. So for those witnesses who said they were struck, I mean they struck him. They struck him and they tased him, and he was begging for help.
So within like the first 10 minutes, all of the interaction between the police and Jawan has taken place, and the rest of the video is like the
Jawan, no, not a portion of it. The remainder of the video is him struggling, telling him I can't breathe, help me, I can't breathe, clearly in distress. Could y'all set me up, shut the F up, I'm gonna tase you again. Then eventually he was placed in a squad car and the EMTs responded. 2 young female EMTs responded. They seemed like they wasn't concerned about Jawan until he completely lost consciousness and everybody like, oh crap. That should have never happened.
So for like 30 minutes of the video, it's just that.
Yeah, then the rest of the video is just them talking. And I think at some point he was transported and they was talking among themselves. I can barely hear you back there.
The police narrative was that when they confronted Jawan in the car, they said he was shifting suspiciously, which drew their attention, and then that
he told him he was looking for his identification. So he's telling them. So it's not shifting suspiciously. They didn't have. But they can carry. I've seen the video now. So
my question is, what they say happened is that then he then left, was running away, and then he started like punching him, trying to grab the taser. Anything like that?
No, it did not happen. They told him get out the car. He got out the car. When he got to the backside of the car, he tried to go. He tried to run. They tackled him, and at that point, that's when the physical contact engagement took place. But before you get there, it was unlawful for you to ask for his identification to get him out the car. He's telling him we didn't do anything wrong. I mean, why are you harassing us? So, to your question, he did not initiate anything with them. They initiated with him. He's begging for help. He's not trying to grab the taser. We can't see that, but he's not in a position that, based on the video we saw, his position. He's begging. He's screaming for help. He's literally screaming for help. And the portions on the video, body camera that you can see, he's not grabbing anything. They tell him roll over, as such. He's begging for help. I can't breathe. And his response of not rolling over is tasing him again. That was their response. It's tasing. You ain't rolling over, tase him. Matter of fact, if you don't roll, and one thing I failed to miss, I failed to tell you, he was on his back. One officer responded and told him flip him over on his stomach. When he flipped him over his stomach, that's when he really said, I can no longer breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I got asthma. I can't breathe. So that's what the video is going to show. Good question, though.
And you mentioned that the EMTs took a little while to arrive.
Oh, yeah.
How long did you say before?
Oh, man. They once he was on the ground saying he couldn't breathe, you know, he was struggling. One of the officers that engaged him said, we got an ambulance on the way. I can't remember exactly. He may have his notes, but it took at least 20 minutes for them to get there. And once they got there, they didn't do anything. It seemed like the police was controlling the medics as to whether he need Narcan. That's for somebody who's on, you know, have taken overdose. And the EMT's like, no, there's no Narcan needed here. And eventually, and actually one of the officers who engaged him, he did provide chest compressions for a considerable amount of time, but it was too late. There was no heart rhythm, anything. It was basically flatline.
When will you get the video?
I get it when I file a lawsuit and get federal subpoena power. I get the video. I don't know if you guys ever actually have it, but that's the law in Alabama, that videos are not considered public records in the state of Alabama.
Will you release it when you get it?
Well, that's subject to the court's orders. Usually when we have get videos through discovery, it's usually a court order that it cannot be released to the public. So it's a possibility you guys will never see it unless we go to trial and y'all see it in open court.
Not next week, the Mobile City Council is going to be taking up an ordinance to address body cam footage and how the police department should handle it. What would be your message to the city council and policymakers Mobile immediately what you should do as a result of the press conference?
Well, obviously, one thing you should also have transparency. You guys pay taxpayer dollars. Taxpayers, these are public servants who work for you. You should be aware who is on the streets and hold those accountable, either civilians or police officers accountable when they break the law. And transparency is one of them. I think that when you have transparency, then you don't have speculation that the police department is not doing their job or they're trying to cover up, they're trying to whitewash. You know, if I show Patrick the video and he can make his own decision as to whether it was justified or wasn't justified. You won't have me standing up here giving you a narrative of what I believe happened. So that goes a long way because now, you know, the narrative I'm giving is different from they're giving. So at the end of the day, who do you believe? Who do you believe? Who's telling the truth? You know one thing that will clear that up? Show the damn tape.
Show the video.
Show the video. Show the video, and that's something they should definitely consider because it gives more credibility and transparency, accountability for police officers, and it makes the community safer. If you know people are going to see the video, if you do something, and you tell somebody, shut the F up, I'm going to punch in your stomach, then you would definitely not want that person on your force. And you get somebody's care and concern. We get law enforcement have a tough job. I used to work in law enforcement myself. We understand that. But this incident, it was a complete escalation, unlawful, that led to the death of Jawan Dallas. I can say it to kingdom come. That's what happened. Any other questions? All right, thank you guys. I appreciate you. We'll have more to come. Like I told you, Open Records is ready, so good luck. Thank you.